Hi, this is Carter with Fifth Floor Gaming. I'm not a musician, but I make a lot of music for my small games. I usually use Ableton Live, but for a free alternative, I highly recommend Beepbox. I absolutely love this software for sketching small loops or getting a project started. You can even use it for a full project. In today's video, I'll be making a short 4-measure loop from scratch and discuss my process. Please keep in mind, this is coming from a professional developer who makes games as a hobby. I have a small background in music theory, but I'm not a musician by any stretch of the imagination. Beepbox is a free online tool. You can get there by going to beepbox.co. This is generally what the interface looks like. If you're familiar with any other digital audio workstation software, this might look kind of familiar to you. So here you can place notes on your grid. Down here you have different loops that you can choose from. Off to the right you have different options, including your instrument type, your tempo, your rhythm, volume, etc. So to get started, I recommend a few interface changes. So I'm going to turn on Show Piano Keys so that I can see which notes we have. I'm also going to turn on the octave scroll bar. This lets us scroll up and down an octave for each row here. Okay, and I think that's all the settings I'm going to change for right now. So let's take a look at the scale. So there's a few different options here. You have easy smiley face, easy frowny face, island, blues, normal, etc. So for each of these scales, if you select it and then hover over, you'll get a tooltip. So easy smiley face is pentatonic major, easy frowny face, pentatonic minor, normal is going to be your major and minor scales. So normal frowny face is minor. So I'll pick happy face. For this song, I'll just pick a random key. Let's go with G. You can also change your tempo. I'll pick something a bit up tempo. I'll do 160. And for this song, I think I want to do kind of a chip tune, a retro style video game type loop. So if you look at each of these rows, you'll notice there's one that's different. This gray one at the bottom, and this one is specifically for drums. So if you look at the instruments here, you'll see different drums rather than the other normal instruments. Because I'm going for a retro video game type song, I'm gonna pick chip noise, and I'll start working on just a drum loop. I think that's how I'll start my song today. I'll just work on just a 1-measure drum loop to repeat for all 4 of these bars here. Like other digital audio workstation software, you can play and stop your song by pressing the spacebar. That's really good for workflow. You can iterate things pretty quickly. And I think I want to add kind of a lower note here and here. And then maybe just one like that. I'm not a fan of that note. And I also don't think I like this note, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then I also think I'm going to get rid of that and put that there. Okay, so we have a little bit of a groove going. So now I'm gonna go up to this orange row. Usually whenever I'm working with Beepbox, I'll put my melody at the top row, my harmony on the yellow row, bass line on orange, and then drums at the bottom here. So now I think I'm gonna take a look at maybe doing a bass line. So for instruments, I would like to pick, sticking with the retro video game type thing, I think I'm going to pick let's see what a triangle wave sounds like. I think I want something maybe a little bit harsher, so I'll pick a square wave. That's a good sound, and I'll drop it down an octave. And from here, I'll just start drawing some notes on the grid here and see if we can come up with something that sounds interesting and maybe supports kind of the general melody idea that I have in my head here. And I think I want to space these notes out a little bit more. They're kind of bleeding together here. We'll just get rid of that one because you really can't hear it all too well. And now that I have some notes drawn, I think maybe the square wave isn't the best option here. So let me look at some different options. Maybe we can do let's do a sawtooth lead. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, that sounds good, but I think I want to make some of these notes shorter. Just give us a little bit more separation in there. I'm just going to experiment. Maybe we move this thing up an octave, see what it sounds like up there. So to move things up and down an octave, you can go to Edit. So plus and minus will move it up and down one row. Shift plus and minus moves it up and down an octave. So I'll just do Shift and plus to move it up an octave. And let's see what it sounds like up here. I think that's sounding pretty good. It's kind of got a brassy feel to it, kind of like a big band brass. So I think I'm happy with that. We might go back and tweak it in a little bit. Now I'm going to look at dropping in a harmony. I usually leave the melody for last simply because I find that a bit easier to do. Find it a bit harder to cram a harmony and a bass line in on top of a melody. Usually I find it a bit easier to go the opposite direction. So I'll work on doing a harmony here, maybe some chords or something. So let's take a look at triangle wave for this one. I want to keep it in the background here, and I'll put this kind of in the mids. It's a bit too high, maybe down an octave. And I still don't think triangle wave sounds quite right. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Maybe I'll look at a square wave here. That sounds good, I think. So I'm just going to draw in just a simple chord progression here. Just do some triads. So I'll go 1, 3, 2, 6. Well, let's listen to that. Okay, I don't quite like the way that sounds. It's a bit too muddied. So I'm going to change the instrument around a little bit, I think. So I'm going to go to Customize Instrument. And I think we'll start by adding a hum unison to it. There's a few different effects in here as well. You can do chord types, have it play arpeggios, strum it, simultaneous, etc. So there's a bunch of different effects that you can play around with. I'm going to start by changing the unison here, and maybe changing the wave back to rounded. We'll see what that looks like. I might play around with the EQ filter as well. It's a bit hard to hear still, so I might move this up an octave as well now that we've changed the wave type. Okay, that's sounding a bit better. I'm going to let it play and then play with the EQ filter and see if I can get that to stand out a little bit more in the mix here. Yeah, I think that's sounding a lot better. I don't like 6 as being the last chord here, so I might move this up, and we'll look at this instead. think that has a bit more of a happy feel. That's kind of closer to what I'm going for. So I'll come back and tweak all of these things a bit. But I think let's take a look at melody at this point. So for melody, I'm pretty sure I just want that sawtooth lead 1 again. Same thing we used for the bass line, just higher up. We might add a little bit of reverb or tremolo on it. But let's lay down 1 measure of melody, and we'll see what we can come up with here. And currently what I'm doing is I'm just drawing in random notes. I don't really have anything that I'm hearing just yet in my mind. So I'm just going to draw in some random notes and see if I can find some sort of inspiration here. Yeah, I think I'm hearing something. I kind of want this. Kind of want this to do like this. I don't think I like that quite like that. I'll move that down. Okay, and I do think I want to customize this instrument a little bit. So I'll look over here and take a look at the effects. And I think I want to add a little bit of vibrato to it, just light vibrato. And then also maybe a little bit of reverb. And then also I'm going to turn the volume up just slightly. Okay, I don't like the reverb on there, so I'm going to take the reverb off. And I think I'm going to take the volume a little bit down on the drums here. And volume all the way up on the lead. Okay, so I think that's a decent first measure. I'm not super happy with it, but that's good enough for the purpose of this video. So let's take a look at what these different numbers are here. So if I go up 1, so from 1 to 2, I can access now we're on the second loop. So I can add notes here, and it'll be different than the previous measure here. So let's see, we ended 1 on a B. I think this is a good second loop here. For the purpose of this song, I think I want to do 1, 2, 1, 3. Just have that first loop repeat after the second loop here. So I'll draw in a third loop here, and then we'll listen to the loop as a whole, and we can start tweaking more things here. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. One thing I do want to change is I'd like to add another effect to this sawtooth. I'm either going to change the EQ filter, so you can also change the envelope of notes. So I think I'm going to add maybe a little bit of a twang to it. We'll see what that sounds like. I kind of want to have maybe like a plucked kind of feeling to this. And I think I want to apply that only to the unison here. And I do want to change my EQ filter. So I'll let it play while I tweak this, and it should update in real time while we listen. Now that we can hear it a little bit better, it's a bit more forward in the mix. There's some things that I'd like to change. I'm not quite happy with this. So I'm just going to listen to it and tweak notes as I go. Yeah, so I'd like that to be like that. This note to just be all the way like that. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy with the direction this is going. One thing I'm concerned about is I can't hear this bass line anymore. It's a bit lost in there. So I think I'm going to try to customize this, and we'll look at maybe adding a unison to it to kind of bring it a little bit further out. Okay, that's a lot better. We can hear that now. I just played with the EQ filter a little bit. Now we can hear the bass line better. So I think I'm fairly happy with that song. So this is just generally an overview of how to use Beepbox. It's fairly simple software, but there is a lot you can do with it. There's dozens, if not hundreds, of instruments that you can mess around with. It's not always kind of an old school video game type feel. You can make some very complex songs in this software. So finally, I just want to export our song. So one cool thing about Beepbox is if I want to save this song, if I look at the URL up here, it's a very complex, long URL. And that's because everything in Beepbox is stored in the URL. So if I want to just save this, song, I can simply bookmark it. And then when I come back to the bookmark, I'll have it saved. So to export the song, to actually use it in my game, I'm just going to go up here to File, and I'm going to choose Export Song. Because I don't have an intro or an outro, I'm just going to uncheck that. Depending on how long I want this to loop for, I might increase this loop count. The loop count of 1 is fine, and then if I decide to bring this into a Unity project, I'll just have it loop on that side. And lastly, I'm going to give it a name. For the purpose of this, I'll just export it as WAV, but there are a few different options. You can export it as a MIDI if you want to bring it into a different DAW. This is really handy if you're using Beepbox to sketch out an idea quickly. Let's say you don't have access to your main computer where you do all of your music. You can sketch up some quick little melody in Beepbox and then export it as a MIDI and bring it into your software of choice. But for this, I'll just export it as a WAV. Choose Export, it downloads, and then I can open it and let it play. If you would like to edit or view this song, there's a Beepbox link in the description. Fifth Floor Gaming is a small collective of game developers, and we're currently working on a larger turn-based multiplayer game called Hexane. Keep an eye on this channel in the future for more videos about indie development. Special thank you to our patrons, Telic Moonblood, Hextrin, and Crash Effect 1. Thanks for watching.